Good morning. Thank you for watching another beautiful Lord's Day. Hope you can get out and go to church today. It looks like it's going to be a pretty one. This morning we got our sick list. We got Ronnie Robinson, Ashlyn Hare, Jeremy Judkin, Sam Hoover, Ryan Sanders, Doyle Duke, Bruce Lewis, Randy Burnett, Andy Duggan, Lee Heath, um, Ruby Allred, uh, Luana Peeler, Beanie Blair, Taylor Blanton, Crystal Chanel, Robert Pitts, Sharon Armstrong, Gary Blanton, Donnie Smith, Pam Brown, and Claude Cunningham. We also need to send sympathy to the family of Ovie Hollis and Courtney Dixon. And please keep my aunt in your prayers. She had surgery on her leg, and so uh, let's pray for her that she'd get better soon. This morning, we're going to talk a little bit about anger. And so I've got two little stories here that I think we might enjoy. And so it is said that a powerful emperor, Genghis Khan, once went out into the woods for a day's sport. On the king's wrist sat his favorite hawk, who was trained to hunt down prey. Although there was much expectation among the group about the hunt, to their disappointment they didn't find much prey. On the return journey, the discouraged king decided to take a different route home, with his pet hawk flying ahead of him. It was a hot day and the king soon became very thirsty. To his joy, he saw some drops of water trickling down from an overhead rock. Thrilled at the sight of water, the king took out a silver cup from his bag and started to fill it with the trickling water. After the cup was filled up, the king was about to drink the water when his pet hawk swooped down, knocked the cup out of his hand, spilling the water to the ground. Surprised, the king filled up the cup a second time. But as he brought it to his lips, once again the hawk swooped down and knocked it off his hand. This was repeated a third time as well. The enraged king now decided to teach the hawk a bitter lesson on his attempt. And sure enough, as the hawk swooped down and grabbed the cup from his hand, the king reached for his sword and killed the bird. In the process, the cup fell into a place where the king could not reach it. Determined to still have his drink, the thirsty king climbed towards the spring. When he reached it, however, he was shocked to see a huge poisonous snake lying dead in the water. Horrified at the sight, the king sadly realized that the dead hawk had actually been trying to save his life. Deeply disturbed at what he had done to his beloved pet, the king said, "I have learned a sad lesson today, and that is never do anything out of anger." So that's a good lesson to learn. Uh, you need to think about what you're doing before you do it, because it may be a bad thing. Uh, my next little story is called The Fence Story. There once was a young boy with a very bad temper. The boy's father wanted to teach him a lesson, so he gave him a bag of nails and told him that every time he lost his temper, he must hammer a nail into their wooden fence. On the first day of this lesson, the little boy had driven 37 nails in the fence. He was really mad. Over the course of the next few weeks, the little boy began to control his anger, so the number of nails that were hammered into the fence dramatically decreased. It wasn't long before the little boy discovered it. It was easier to hold his temper than to drive those nails into that fence. Then the final day come when the little boy didn't lose his temper even once. He became so proud of himself he couldn't wait to tell his father. Pleased, his father suggested now that he pull out one nail for each day that he could hold his temper. Several weeks went by, and finally the day came when the young boy was able to tell his father that all the nails were gone. Very gently, the father took his son by the hand and led him to the fence. "You have done very well, my son," he smiled. "But look at all those holes in the fence. The fence will never be the same." The little boy listened carefully as his father continued to speak. "When you say things in anger, they leave permanent scars just like these. And no matter how many times you say you're sorry, the wounds will still be there." We need to remember that, you can say you're sorry, but the hurt is still there. People can forgive you, but that's still something that you've done, and that will haunt you probably for the rest of your life. We need to be careful about what we do and the things that we say when we're angry, and we don't need to do that. We need to just kind of let it go if we can. When you're angry, this is my thoughts here. When you're angry, you're sitting in the devil's house. You're sitting on his couch. You're in a bad spot. What do you want to? How do you want this situation to end? You never know what's going to happen when you're angry. Do you want everything to go your way? Maybe it's not going to do that. You need to be careful. Anger can lead to devastating results that you can never fix. We've got to be the bigger person. We've got to let go of some of this stuff. Whenever you're angry, you need to let go of it. And sometimes, like the king messed up. He was in his mind. He was thinking that bird was doing something bad. Maybe that somebody is trying to help us, and we're getting mad at them because they're trying to help us. But in reality, we need to figure out what they're doing. Maybe they're doing this for our own good, and we just don't realize it. And we can perceive that somebody is doing a bad thing to us, but maybe they're not. We need to think about that. We need to think about it real hard before we do something that is going to damage our relationship with that person. We're supposed to love our enemies, and I know it's a hard thing to do sometimes, but that's the way God would have it. So this is a little lesson for us. I hope you got something out of that. Please keep all of our servicemen and women in your prayers, that they'd be kept safe and can return home to their families. Please keep our first responders and our doctors and nurses and all the folks that keep us safe. Please keep everyone on their sick list in your prayers, and the ones that's lost loved ones. So thank you for watching. I hope you got something good out of this, and God bless, and we'll see you next time.